Right-wing militias and Trump supporters are planning another rally in the nation's capital, although the organizer of the event is urging rallygoers to avoid wearing any type of apparel that supports Donald Trump. He claims this is not about Donald Trump. This is about justice. Justice for the Capitol Hill rioters, the very rioters who stormed into the nation's capital on January 6th. So this is known as the Justice for J6 rally, and for good reason. You have both lawmakers, their staffers, and Capitol Police concerned about it. In fact, policymakers, basically anyone working on Capitol Hill is being told to avoid the Capitol that day. We'll see if the Capitol Police are prepared this time, if anything goes awry. But Matt Braynard is the organizer behind all of this, and so far, GOP lawmakers are avoiding having to even address it or talk about it. Top Republicans are staying as quiet as possible about the September 18th protest on the Hill, which has prompted police officials to reinstall the Capitol security fence to safeguard against potential violence. They aren't endorsing it, nor are they condemning it. Because condemning it would mean that they're gonna have to deal with backlash. Endorsing it would mean that they might have to deal with hearings and criticism, backlash, should anything get violent. Behind the scenes though, the GOP is actually pretty annoyed about it. So according to Politico, privately, Republicans grumbled about the rally as a distraction that pulls attention away from their policy-centered critiques of the Biden administration. And some in the party are taking solace that Trump has not promoted the event, at least not yet. So the reason why they're doing this rally is because they feel that the Capitol Hill rioters are being treated unfairly, that the criminal justice system has been unjust to them specifically. I am less willing to buy that argument, but I'm curious what you think.
I welcome them to the club of being anti-law and order. Thank you guys for joining the fight against brutal policing. No, of course this is nonsense. You can't take these people at their word. It's obvious they just want to come out and sort of make a commotion. They want to have their voices heard, and I think it's fine, honestly. And let these people have their little protest. The police should show up and regulate it like they do every other protest, and then they'll go back home to their miserable lives. I'm not gonna really get all up in arms about it. And as far as GOP members sort of playing footsie with these people, and then at the last minute basically throwing their hands up like, what, who, me? No, I never supported anything like this. GOP cowardice is basically par for the course. This is what they do. They talk a good game, but they never actually have any political courage. It's all pandering.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, right? We live in a democracy. I do believe in the right to assemble. I do believe in the right to protest. As long as we don't see the level of ill-prepared, incompetence that we saw from, in law enforcement on the day that the riots happened, I think it should be fine, right? Seems like they're a little more prepared this time. Like they're putting the fencing up, the barriers up. We'll see if it all works. I'm hoping that it just doesn't devolve in violence. Like if they want to, I don't care what they want to protest. You have the right to protest. Just don't let it get out of control. Don't let it get violent. Make sure that people don't get hurt in the process. Now, House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy told reporters that out of his Republican conference, he doesn't think anyone is going to attend. Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell did not respond to a question about whether leaders should be encouraging other rank and file members not to attend as he headed to a briefing on the rally. By the way, so Politico clearly made a mistake there when they refer to Mitch McConnell as the Senate Majority Leader, but I'll admit, it's hard to believe that Chuck Schumer is the Senate Majority Leader. He's so quiet compared to Mitch McConnell. Yeah. So like I make the mistake in my mind all the time, which is why I didn't catch that mistake before I ordered this graphic. But anyway, that's a side note. It's not really a big part of the story. It's just goes to show, someone who's literally one of the most powerful men in the country might want to flex that power a little more than he has been. I don't know,
Yeah, Mitch McConnell has already stated long ago, he said, we don't undermine American democracy this way. This is stupid, this is sloppy. We do it in state houses, we do it in federal courts, courts that we've packed with very sympathetic judges. That's how we undermine the democracy of this country. We don't do this sloppy, basically just like backwards insurrectionist nonsense. Mitch McConnell knows how to do this in a gentlemanly fashion, via legislation, Anna.
No, but look, I despise Mitch McConnell. Our politics do not align in any way, but I do think that there are lessons to be learned in how effective he's been in his leadership roles, in essentially pushing for and accomplishing lasting power, consolidating power for the Republican Party and conservatives. He's been hyper-focused on the courts, and the GOP has kicked the Democrats' asses when it comes to the courts. While the left was having debates about whether or not the Supreme Court matters after the 2016 primaries happened, the GOP is like, no, doesn't matter at all. Don't worry about the Supreme Court. Don't worry about those federal judges and all those appointments that a Trump presidency would bring about. Everything's fine. Everything's great. You guys keep debating. And I mean, we saw what happened during the Trump administration. It wasn't just about the Supreme Court. He managed to get 3 Supreme Court justices confirmed, and each one is awful. But hundreds of federal judges, right-wing GOP endorsed federal judges were confirmed during the Trump presidency. And I give that as an example of what Mitch McConnell is talking about. Like, you want to have a temper tantrum over the 2016 election, have at it. But that temper tantrum isn't going to result in anything substantive. It's not going to reinforce or consolidate power for your preferred party or your preferred political movement. And so I get why some on the left don't like the way the corporate press has reported on what happened on January 6th. What happened on January 6th was awful, but it wasn't some organized, well thought out plan to basically overturn the election. It was just a bunch of people having a temper tantrum incited by Donald Trump and other right wingers. So we'll see what happens. There are hundreds of people who have been charged in what happened on January 6th. I just read a story today about a member of the Oath Keepers militia who took a plea deal, pled guilty to 2 separate charges, and has agreed to cooperate with authorities, basically to snitch on his fellow militia members. So we'll see how that all plays out. But they're not winning. They're not winning with the riots, and hopefully what happens this weekend doesn't devolve into one.
Yeah, I choose to point and laugh at people that are like, God knows what parts of the country they're showing up from. Like, these people book flights, road trips, all kinds of gas money, motels had to be booked for this stuff. The idea that you would show up to DC for this clown show of an event is quite pathetic, and I just choose to be amused by it. I don't think this is any serious, credible threat to what's going on over there.
Yeah, and let me just note, you're probably in trouble when the GOP lunatics in Congress are not going to attend and are not endorsing it. So Marjorie Taylor Greene, Madison Cawthorn, planning to skip September 18th rally as Capitol Hill gears up. So I don't know, man, it's pretty bad when you've already lost Marjorie Taylor Greene. It's just.
And she'll show up anywhere where there's a camera. So
100%.
Like the idea that she's like, I think that's a bad look for me. This is a QAnon devotee saying that y'all little parade is a bad look. That's tough.
Totally.